Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden, and today we're inside. It's pouring down rain all day, so it is a great day to start a bunch more cut flower seeds for my garden. Okay, so we're going to be concentrating on 4 different types of seeds today. We're going to be concentrating on bells of Ireland, Delphinium, Dianthus, and Wheatgrass. Now, the Delphinium, bells of Ireland, and Dianthus are for my outdoor cut flower garden. The Wheatgrass is for a spring project I'm wanting to do where I want to tuck in beautiful grass within a pot. Very excited about that. But I wanted to show you guys because all of these have a different type of seed sowing method. The Delphinium and the bells of Ireland use a wet, moist method, and then they go through cold stratification during that. The wheatgrass goes through a soaking period, and then the Dianthus is just standard, and then you pop the seed into the soil and you're good to go from there. So I want to show you the differences between all 3 of those. Last year, bells of Ireland was new to me and I loved it. However, one difference is last year I sowed it in the fall and then I overwintered it and then it was ready to go in the spring. I did not have time to do that this year, so I'm just starting my bells of Ireland now. Bells of Ireland are known for their green flowers. The green bell-shaped flowers aren't actually the flowers. They're called the calyx. And in the inside of those green bells is a tiny little white flower. And so that's the actual flower part of bells of Ireland. They do develop spikes as they get older, and the spikes are very sharp. So you can definitely prick yourself, which is something to be aware of. Since bells of Ireland are not cut and come again, you can do succession planting with them. So you could start seeds every 2 weeks in order to be able to have a wide variety of plants that are coming to fruition or coming into bloom at different points in time. They're typically about 2 to 3 feet high, about 12 to 18 inches wide. They love full sun. They need great draining soil as well. And they are treated as an annual in my area. In pretty much in most areas, I was not able to find any information where these particular bells of Ireland were an actual perennial. However, they do really, really great as a hardy annual, meaning you can sow them in the fall, overwinter them, and then they're ready to go earlier in the spring. Okay, let me chat a little bit about Delphinium because it's the same sowing method or a similar sowing method as the bells of Ireland. So I'm going to do both those seeds at the same time. Delphinium comes in a wide variety of colors from white to pale blue, periwinkle, dark blue, cobalt, purple, some pink, some cherry blossom, just a wide variety of kind of cool colors. They tend to be a very long, elegant, beautiful flower and tend to be taller kind of plant, typically around 2.5 to 3 feet tall. But there are some varieties that get very tall, upwards of 4 feet. Delphinium can be considered a cut and come again bloom, meaning you cut a bloom and it gives you a replacement. But rather than like zinnias that are constantly replacing different blooms at different points in time, Delphinium is more of you cut off the flowers and then it gives you one more flush, if that makes sense. However, in my zone, zone 8A, it is just so hot that Delphiniums typically die back at that point in time. I have never been able to get a second flush from them. Delphiniums, since they're so tall and linear, they typically need some kind of staking system to keep them upright. They also prefer about 6 to 8 hours of sun, preferably morning sun, as they don't love extreme heat. Okay, so let's get set up and let's get to work on the bells of Ireland seeds and the Delphinium seeds. Okay, first off, you're going to need Delphinium seeds and bells of Ireland seeds. Now, I keep both of these in my freezer. They've already gone through a process of cold stratification. You can also keep them in your refrigerator. But the best way to do this is to get these seeds started in a moist, cool environment. So what we're going to need are some paper towels, some clear plastic bags, and you're going to need some water. All right, so I'm going to be starting by growing the Pacific Giant Mixed Delphinium. I want to go ahead and put Delphinium on my bag and today's date so that I remember how long it's been in there. Typically Delphinium, we're going to want it to go at least 36 hours in the refrigerator on a moist paper towel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to take my Delphinium seeds and I'm just going to spread them out on my paper towel. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to put quite a few. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my paper towel in half, and then I'm also going to fold over these edges as well, just so that my seeds don't slip out. All right, and then I'm going to take my paper towel. I'm going to slip it into my plastic bag, just like that. I'm going to add a touch of water, making sure it's soaking all of my paper towel. If it's not, I'm going to add more. And there's dirt in there because I had some leftover soil mixed in there. All right, and there we go, good to go, nice and moist. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna store this in the refrigerator for minimum 36 hours. Same situation for Bells of Ireland. I actually love the shape of Bells of Ireland. There's only one variety of Bells of Ireland that I know. It's called Molucella, I'm not sure. Bells of Ireland seeds are actually like little tripod seeds. Now, I'm not wanting to start a whole bunch of these, not the Delphinium. I'm totally excited. So I'm just going to start 6 of these seeds. I'm hoping to only have 3 for myself, but then also have 3 for my friend Kristen. So I've got my seeds. Once again, I'm just going to fold my paper towel to make sure that the seeds stay inside. Now, Delphinium and Bells of Ireland seeds have a very hard outside coating. If you're having issues with germination, you can use a pair of nail clippers to kind of nick the side if you would like. But I found that this method, giving the opportunity to soak and soften, helps quite a bit. So I've got my water in there. And I'm good to go on both of these. Okay, so Delphinium is minimum 36 hours. Bells of Ireland is 36 to 48 hours. I'm probably going to put both of them in for 48 hours. And then I'm going to, at the end of this video, I will go ahead and fast forward the 48 hours, of course. And then I'll show you what these look like at the end of the video and get these planted up. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be working on is wheatgrass. And this is a little bit of a different situation than the Delphinium and Bells of Ireland. The Delphinium and Bells of Ireland need to be moist and cold. For the wheatgrass, we just need these to be moist. We need them to soak. So this particular set of wheatgrass does about, let's see, 24 square inches of grass. I'm going to go ahead and put the whole thing in there, and it suggests that we soak these 12 to 24 hours. I have never grown wheatgrass before. I've always heard it's pretty stinking easy. And I have an idea for a centerpiece that I would like to do. So all I'm going to do is I've got a container of water. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all my grass in there, and I'm going to allow this to soak for 12 to 24 hours. And of course, we will come back to this as well and show you what it looks like after that time. Okay, so I want to show you a slightly different variation on starting some seeds. I'm actually going to be starting 3 varieties of Dianthus here. The 3 varieties I'm going to be starting are Sweet White, Sweet Black Cherry, and Sweet Purple White Bicolor. And all of these are from Johnny. They're pelleted because Dianthus seeds are so tiny, so these have a coating on them, which is, you know, kind of makes it easier to see. These plants grow at about 18 to 36 inches tall. They're excellent for cut flowers. They are considered a tender perennial, which is something that's important to know as well. They really need full sun, and typically Dianthus, the common name for them is pinks, P-I-N-K-S, and that's not in reference to their color. That's actually in reference to the edges of their petals, which look like they have been cut with pinking shears. So I'm going to go ahead and start by filling the tray with the seed starting mix. I get my seed starting mix just from my local big box store, and I'm going to begin adding water. I want the seed mixture to be pretty moist, not dripping or out of control or anything. I probably should have put something underneath it. I'll try to mix carefully. Okay, so here is one of my cheat ways for quote-unquote soil blocking. So I've gone ahead and I filled this up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with my hands and I'm going to create my own little mounds or hills all the way across. I'm going to have 3 different varieties, so I want 3 different mounds. You can have the soil moved across like that. I like to leave space on the edges and all the way around so that it's easier for the water to get everywhere it needs. I can just pour water into these channels. This is my cheat way when I don't want to use the soil blocking method, because truthfully the soil blocker hurts my hands. I have to be in the right mindset to do it. If you have any kind of weakness in your hands or you deal with arthritis, the soil blocking method is pretty stinking tough. Okay, so you can see I've got my cheat rows, I've got my labels made. Dianthus are very small seeds. They are surface sow and they like a little bit of coverage. So what you can do is you can just come in and maybe lightly make some spots, and then you can come in and drop a seed in each one. I do like to use a chopstick a lot of times. I think they're easy to handle and they're a little bit more precise than other stuff. I'm just going to lightly cover these with just a little bit of soil. Not much, just light. And there's my black cherry. All right, I'm gonna make sure to mist these really, really good. I love my Mr. Spray bottle. If you're interested in it, you can click on my Amazon storefront link in the video description and check it out. All right, got that done. Next thing, I'm gonna put my lid on. Okay, so 3 very different ways to start seeds. We did the Delphinium and the Bells of Ireland, which are going to be a moist but cold stratification. So moist paper towels, and they're going to go in the fridge, not the freezer. These are not going in the freezer. I do store these seeds in the freezer, but when they're dry, I store them in there just to preserve them. But these are going in the refrigerator, and they're going to go in probably 4 to 8 hours. I'll probably do 4 to 8 hours total. Then we've got the wheatgrass we started, and it's just soaking here for about, I think it was 36 hours. Oh, these are going to soak 12 to 24 hours. And then I've got my Dianthus, which were just direct sow into the moist soil. They're lightly covered, so they're surface sow, but a little bit of coverage. And then I've sprayed them down so they're nice and moist. And I've got my lid on top, my humidity dome, and these are going to go under the grow lights. Okay, so at this point, we're just going to take a jump of about at least 24 hours, and then we're going to I'm going to show you what the wheatgrass looks like and go ahead and get that planted up. Okay, so it is 24 hours later, and we've got our wheatgrass in here, and they are definitely softer, significantly softer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some soil and put it in the container for my spring project. I'll show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so I have this old vintage wash tub. It's kind of like a gray blue color. It's very rusted. There's a lot of holes in it. I typically use it for mixing soil and water together, but now the holes have gotten so big that the water just rushes out like crazy. But this is actually what I'm going to utilize for my spring project I'm going to be creating. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mix the soil and water in this container and then put them into here. And I'm just using a regular potting soil because I know I'm growing these from seed, but this is going into an overall project container. And when I say project container, I mean that I'm probably going to do some kind of spring Easter arrangement in it. And I wanted this kind of spring grass mixed in. Most likely it'll be some type of fairy garden or something fun like that. I think it'll be really fun to do that. And I've always wanted to do it with grass. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this with soil. Like I said, this already has holes, rusted holes in the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to push it down and give myself a nice firm surface. Okay, so next I've got my seeds, And they're supposed to fill in like a 24 square inch area. I'm going to leave the center portion of this container a little more open. I am going to try to spread them out as best as I can. They do kind of clump together because they're wet. And I do think that, you know, if some grass ends up where I don't want it, or I want to move some grass, I don't think that would be the end of the world to be able to do that. I think it would be pretty easy to do. I think this is going to be so much fun to watch as it grows. I think this would be such a fun project if you have kids, because they're going to be able to see some pretty instantaneous results. These seedlings emerge in 3 to 5 days, so that's pretty quick. It does say to bury them 1/8 of an inch. I'm not going to really worry about it. I'm just going to let them surface sow. I think they'll be fine, and I think it'll be more fun to watch. All right, I'm going to push them all down, give them some nice firm contact with the soil, especially because I'm not burying them. Okay, so since these are soaked, soil's moist, I feel really good about it. So the next thing I'm going to do, since I don't have a humidity dome to fit this container, is I'm going to come across with plastic wrap. Now, y'all don't go after me on the plastic wrap because the struggle is real for me. I'm terrible at plastic wrap. It never works for me. It never sticks. Like, it's up to itself. So all of y'all who are like pros with the plastic wrap, y'all can get a big old laugh out of me over here trying to make plastic wrap stick to anything. It won't stick to itself. Okay. Okay, and so since I don't have a humidity dome, the plastic wrap is going to keep all these moist, and then once at least 50% of them, I'll probably go more for 75, has started sprouting, then I'll go ahead and take the plastic wrap off. I am going to try to put this under grow lights, but I need to do a little bit of rearranging. Okay, so the container is a little bit heavy. I mean, it's actually pretty heavy. And I don't feel super comfortable putting it on the shelf because this shelf is only half the depth of it. So I'm just putting it right here to the side, and I'll rotate it. And I think it's going to have to be a container that I'm just going to have to bring it outside during the day. And it probably should be fine. I'll have to keep an eye on it if we get really cold weather to bring it in. But we'll start it in here so I can keep an eye on it and so I can watch all the seeds start to germinate. Okay, so here's the bells of Ireland. They have been in the refrigerator in a wet cloth for 48 hours. I mean, they're definitely soft. I'm not going to push on them really hard because I don't want to destroy them. All right, that looks good. And here's the Delphinium. Also has been in the refrigerator for 48 hours. Definitely softer. Okay, sweet. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to prep some soil and we're going to get these planted up. I think I'm going to soil block these. And I'm going to be using very small containers to do these. Let me grab them. Where are they? Okay, so these are the small containers I'm going to use. These are from Amazon too. And I love these containers for the same reason I'm really loving the Vigo containers too, is it allows me to do a smaller set of seeds, which is more in line with how I garden. I don't garden and do hundreds of new seedlings for one particular variety. I typically do, like 4 to 10, of the kind of situation. So I'll link these in my Amazon storefront, but basically they come with their own little container like that. Super simple. You can fit 6 of the 2x2x2 soil cubes in here. So that's what I'm actually going to be doing. It also, when you do that, the soil cubes you'll put in there, and there'll be a little space in the center so you can add water. Very easy and simple. So let me go ahead and get all that soil mixed up. Okay, and the seed blocker that I use is a 2x2x2. This is my preferred size because I can leave the seedlings in these blocks longer than the little tiny like 1/2 inch ones or 1 inch ones. So what I'm going to do is I've pressed it into the soil like that, and then I like to run my hands along the bottom like that. And then I'm actually, because of the size of the trays, I can only fit 3 in length. I'm actually going to put my soil blocks over here to the side and then transfer them over. Okay, so I've got all of my cubes made, and so basically I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to grab a set of 3. I'm going to place them in to the container gently, and I'm push them up against one side. Same thing here, and then I'm going to just come with my fingers and just gently push them up to the side so I can leave a little trench in the middle where I can easily water. And I'm going to use one of these black containers, which are also from Amazon, but I don't recommend because they're super flimsy. The white ones are way more sturdy and longer lasting, but I'm out of the white ones. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the Bells of Ireland. Remember, I folded the paper towels in a way that the seeds wouldn't fall off, specifically for reasons like this when I am opening it. So, and I'm pulling it out of the package, it's way easier because it's not, all the seeds aren't falling out everywhere. All right, so I've got my 6 seeds. These are planted just lightly covered with soil. I'm going to put 1 in each block. I probably should have done enough for 2 in each block, but here we are. And then I'm just using my chopstick. Y'all know that I'm a fan of chopsticks for seed starting. Just use my chopstick to move the soil and just lightly cover these. They're sown at about a 1/4 to an 1/8 inch depth. And these will take, if I've done everything properly, this will take about 8 to 14 days to emerge. So there we go. There's our bells. I'm going to mist them really well. And when you have longer germination rates with things like bells and delphinium, you want to be checking consistently, making sure that this soil is staying nice and moist. I'm going to add a touch of extra water in here, just because I want the situation, this environment to stay very, very moist. So there we go. All right, next let's do the delphinium. Now I have a lot more delphinium seeds in here because I wanted a lot more delphinium. All right. Oh, they look good. So we'll be doing, let's just try 1 seed in each soil block, and then I can always go back and add more if I want. And these are sown about a 1/4 to an 1/8 of an inch deep, so I'm just going to lightly cover with a little bit of soil. I know this can seem tedious, but I actually enjoy it. I find it therapeutic. And let me go ahead and tuck all of my tags in. Okay, just to show you real quick, I've got the black one I told you that I don't recommend. The lid doesn't fit very tight on it at all, whereas like the white one fits really secure. This is just very flimsy, very cheap. If you're getting started, this might last you a season. These white ones have been 3 seasons now, so they're all holding up really good. And like I said, I like these because of the size of them. They are more conducive for the type and the amount of gardening that I do. Okay, so this video has been over 2 days, 48 hours. So we planted a number of different types of seeds. We did the Bells of Ireland and the Delphinium, which both needed to go through a moist, cold stratification process. They both went in plastic bags, paper towels that were wet. Seeds were in between, and they were put in the refrigerator, not the freezer, in the refrigerator for 48 hours, and then we've got them planted. The Delphinium take a lot longer to germinate. I mean, up to 3 weeks sometimes So don't give up on your Delphinium. Make sure that you're checking them on a regular basis to make sure the humidity is staying in, because the seeds must stay moist in order for them to be able to germinate. Same thing with the Bells of Ireland, although it will germinate in about 8 to 14 days, but you want to make sure it stays moist the entire time. Okay, and then we also did the Dianthus seeds. We did 3 varieties, and I did kind of that hilled mounding effect. That's my quick, easy method that gives you a similar result as the soil blocking, but it's easy. You don't have to buy a soil blocker. You get to play in the dirt. It's kind of great. And the Dianthus seeds should be germinating in 14 to 21 days. We absolutely want to make sure that that's staying nice and moist in there until at least 50% of the container is germinated, and then you can take your lid off. And then lastly, we started some wheatgrass, and it is already sprouted. Like, we are a day later. So we started the wheatgrass. We soaked it for 24 hours, and then I laid it across in a container that I'm wanting to do a design with, a project with. Okay, so we got the 4 different types of seeds. We used 3 different types of sowing methods, and all 3 methods, each of the seeds called for something different, and that's one of the most important lessons to learn, is to read the back of your seed packet. If your seed packet does not have the information that you need, right? How cold it needs to be when you're trying to germinate these, how warm it needs to be, if it needs to be soaked, go on Google and research. Go on Google and research, find out. Make sure you have all the information before you get started on some seeds. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will keep you updated on how all of these seeds are doing, but I am super excited. Can you imagine all of these full grown and what they'll be looking like out in my garden? So I'm super excited. It'll be really, really fun. Fingers crossed. I do find the whole growing from seed situation fascinating, that this little bitty thing can be this big, beautiful plant. It is absolutely fascinating. I'm amazed every single time. Every single time. I've done this hundreds of times, and I'm amazed every single time a seed sprouts and comes to full fruition into a plant. Love it. All right, make sure you're checking me out on my YouTube community page, and that you just go to my YouTube channel and then you go down to the tab that says community. I post on there. I try to post on there daily, and then I also post on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok daily as well. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.